calcium channels that are in the neurons that conduct impulses to the brain. But it actually works at inflammation. It works at the cause of pain itself. Korean red ginseng is known to improve blood pressure. And when I say improve, we usually talk about high blood pressure being reduced. That's by far the biggest problem in our society. People with high blood pressure need to bring it down and within control. But there is a significant number of people that have low blood pressure, that when they're sitting for long periods of time, they stand up and they get dizzy because their bodies have low blood pressure and they suffer from that. And so it's interesting, it does both. If you've got high blood pressure, if you take Korean red ginseng on a regular basis, it'll bring it to normal. If you've got low blood pressure and you're having problems with orthostatic issues and you're getting dizzy or losing consciousness because your blood pressure is too low, it brings that blood pressure up. It's an adaptogen. It improves sexual function. I'll move right on quickly from that one. In diabetes, it helps diabetics. How does it do that? There's two types of diabetes. There's type 1, and that's where you have a kid that's from birth has a problem with his pancreas, doesn't produce enough insulin, and that's type 1 juvenile diabetes. But the problem that is become an epidemic worldwide is type 2 diabetes. It goes along with the food choices we make. It goes along with obesity. And it's a massive problem that results in blindness, in kidney failure, with the necessity for kidney transplant. It results in amputations. Diabetes is a horrible disease. What Korean red ginseng does, taken on a regular basis and taken over time, it actually sensitizes the peripheral cells to take up glucose. So glucose isn't running around your body wreaking havoc. It's being taken up by the cells that are supposed to take it up, and it takes it out of your system and allows diabetics to function better. It's a powerful antioxidant. There's great studies to show this. There's really interesting studies on the anti-aging effects of taking Korean red ginseng on a regular basis. It helps with stress. It helps with fatigue. There were some interesting studies on people who were put in very cold environments, and they were given Korean red ginseng leading up to it during that days-long exposure to cold, and they were given the Korean red ginseng after. Well, they tolerated the cold much better than people who had not been on Korean red ginseng. They did the same for people in very hot environments. Gave them Korean red ginseng. They tolerated it better. The physiologic studies they did on them while they were in the midst of this stress environment, they tolerated it better. Korean red ginseng has powerful anti-stress effects. It also helps you cope with the stresses of daily life better. It's a powerful anti-fatigue agent as well. And the literature goes on and on about what Korean red ginseng does. Go ahead, next one. Okay, I could sit here and I could talk I could give you a series of lectures that would last all day, probably all week on this topic. We've put in Power Strips Forever Green's flagship ingredient. Ron talked about it. It's the alpha-3 CMP marine product. And sometimes I don't know where to start because it's such an amazing product. But this is a picture of the farm off of the coast of Canada in the Northwest Pacific, where water is taken, the ocean is here. These pipes run out into the ocean, into this rich, pristine waters, and it harvests natural water and everything that's in it. And it pulls it out and it fills these million-liter tanks with fresh, pristine water. And it sits here under the open ocean, fresh air. It's never enclosed, and something very special happens in these tanks. It's something that's proprietary. It's something that no one else does. There's no company that is able to do what I'm about to talk about. There is no university that's able to do what I'm about to talk about. There is no researcher. There's no food manufacturer. What happens is Tom Harper, a brilliant layperson, was able to create in these open air vats the spring bloom. Every year on both poles of the earth in spring, there's a massive bloom of marine phytoplankton. You can see it from space. And it's that bloom that is the foundation of nutrition on Earth. It's where all of our nutrition starts. It's harvested from the sun. Of course, that's where everything really starts. But it takes the energy of the sun and it converts it into these marine phytoplankton that bloom massively. And there's this huge feeding frenzy that goes on for months. It includes the great whales of the earth, but it includes the small organisms as well. This process of the spring bloom is recreated in these million-liter tanks. And the marine phytoplankton that is there beginning to multiply and divide and concentrate. And at a critical concentration, another proprietary process is introduced. Every little marine phytoplankton that you see, every one is different. There are hundreds of species of marine phytoplankton. But what's common about them is they have a shell. They have the silica shell. I can't dissolve it. If I drink wild marine phytoplankton, it would go nowhere. It would be of no nutritional value to me. But at a certain time, that silica membrane is broken down, and all the nutrition that's in it is released and made available to us. So then in the end, this wild marine phytoplankton is taken, it's duplicated, and it's divided, and it's created in high concentration. The silica shell is broken down, and all this nutrition is made available to you. And that's the marine phytoplankton that we put in power chips. That's the marine phytoplankton that we put in all the products. It's an amazing, it's probably the best single source of nutrition that I'm aware of. It has every building block required either to maintain health or to restore health. And the interesting thing is this whole process it has no negative impact on the environment. There is no carbon footprint at all. In fact, at the end of this process, there is more oxygen for this process having occurred. And all the marine phytoplankton, we only grab about 5% of it. The rest of all these raw ingredients are returned to the sea, and it enriches that microenvironment. It's truly an amazing process that yields a unique product, and it's only found in this organization. Can you go to the next one, please? A little bit more about it. As I was saying, it has everything. It has every vitamin you need. It has all the essential fatty acids, all the minerals, all the amino acids. It has carbohydrates. It has everything required nutritionally to maintain the health of cells, of human cells. Here's a picture of a drop of marine phytoplankton, or from the tanks after it's been concentrated down. You can see all the thousands of different sizes. They range from extremely small, microscopic, to just almost visible. But every one of these, no matter the size, has this shell, and when it's opened, it releases all of the nutrition. Imagine a salad, as you will. This huge plate, and on this plate is your favorite vegetables and fruits, 200 of them. And you imagine the nutrition that's in that. That's very similar to what we get here, except you get it in a drop. And you get even more than what you would find on a plate with 200 plates, 200 different varieties of fruits and vegetables. Because what you know is, you know where this is coming from. You know it's coming straight from the open ocean. It's coming from a pristine environment. And all those fruits and vegetables that you have, as good as they are, we don't know where they came from. We don't know what soil they were grown in. We don't know. They're good for you, sure. But this is amazing. Can you go to the next one? There were some studies done at the University of Utah on marine phytoplankton, and guys in immunology got a hold of it, and they did studies and assays on people who took marine phytoplankton over time, and they found that the immune system was enhanced, that people could fight infection more readily. Then the guys in psychology got a hold of it, and they looked at people who took this, again, marine phytoplankton on a regular basis, and they found that they felt better. Very sophisticated questionnaires were done with all kinds of cross-referencing questions so that you're certain that the answers you're getting are consistent with what that person is feeling. And they reported feeling full of life, having more energy, being more calm and peaceful. So again, I'll move on to that.